Welcome to The Cynical Developer, the podcast that helps you to improve your development knowledge and career through explaining the latest and greatest in development technology and providing you with what you need to succeed as a developer. In this episode, we talk to Paul Seal about Umbraco. Paul is a technical lead and a .NET developer at Media Maker in Nottingham in the UK. He's passionate about web development with a focus on server-side technologies. Paul has been a developer for 10 years and has been working on Umbraco for the last 3 years. He shares useful code and experiences on his blog codeshare.co.uk. Outside of work, he's a devoted father to his son Mason and a loving husband to his wife Claire. So welcome to The Cynical Developer, Paul.
Hi James, you alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you.
Good. So we're here to talk about Umbraco today, the content management system. I guess to kick things off, what is Umbraco?
Well, Umbraco essentially is just a content management system, but it's not just a simple content management system. It's fully featured and it's open source. It's always being worked on. There's lots of features to it. It's really flexible and it runs on .NET, so it's enjoyable to work with. So if you've got a website that you want to do, you can get it from a static HTML site into dynamically editable content managed site pretty quickly, really easily, and it's just a pleasure to work with. Right,
so I don't have to start my website from scratch with this. Will it import something like a static website? Does it integrate into an existing site?
So I think there are integrations that you can do to pull in from other like WordPress and things like that. There are packages that pull things in, if that's what your question is. But if your question is around, I've already got a .NET site running and I want to do a section of it in Umbraco to manage the content of that, then yeah, you can do that as well. We've done that recently where we have a client that is using SharePoint and they wanted an Umbraco site, so they're happy with the rest of their site. They don't want to change that, but they want a section of it to be managed in Umbraco, so that we were able to do that as a sub-application of the SharePoint site, and then they were able to do that as an Umbraco site, so it's really useful actually.
That plays nicely with the routing of the current system and stuff like that, or does it have to sit as its own entity within the likes of IIS?
So the way we got around it on that one is we had a application request routing server, so that the main site was going. So all requests go to this server, and if it was the paths that were on the main site, they would go off to the SharePoint server. And if it was the path that was for this new site that was done in Umbraco, it would go off to that one. So it would just be handled by the request routing. Yeah, so it was doable. And you can do it directly underneath it as well, but this was just to solve this problem. We've got another client that we're working on at the moment. They want a competitions site doing in Umbraco, and they're just getting used to, it's their first look of Umbraco. So we're doing this site directly under, and it will be in IIS directly under their main site, which is a webforms.net site.
Right, okay. That's good to know that it will play nice with the existing sites already. From what I know of Umbraco, a lot of people use it for blogs and things. So I guess from what you've said, it's a lot more than that. Is it secure? Does it have any of the issues that you have with the likes of WordPress from plugins and things that make it unsecure? Yeah,
a lot of people do use it for blogs. That's just because it's so easy to get up and running with a blog. Like when you install Umbraco, you get a starter kit, and in the starter kit there is a blog. And one of the tutorials that I've done, it shows you how to install Umbraco and how to use the starter kit. And I did a blog RSS feed on that on one of my other tutorials, just using that. I use this as a sample. So yeah, people do use it for blogs. And with regards to security, it's a lot more secure than the likes of WordPress and what have you, because when you get a WordPress site, you're told, oh, it's free. So you do, I think, is it WordPress.org? You get the free site version, but then you find that your URL is something .wordpress.org. It's either .com or .org. I can't remember which way around. Do you know, James?
I think it is .org. I do run a WordPress site, but I don't run it through WordPress's website themselves. I host it myself.
So you start off with that, it's free. Then you find out that you're susceptible to all these security flaws. So you then buy plugins that will sort out your security, and you'll need a plugin for this and a plugin for that. And before you know it, when you thought you were signing up for a free site, and you ended up paying all this money just to secure it and host it and what have you. I'm not saying hosting's free for Umbraco, but on the flip side of that, with Umbraco, you're on a Windows server. You've got the same security levels as you've got with any other ASP.NET site, because essentially that's what it is. You've got the security of what you get with MVC anyway, when with regards to validation of your form attributes and things like that. It already checks to make sure that you're not going to be susceptible to things like cross-site scripting. So you get the benefits of that. So, and there are plugins from the community. People can create plugins and what have you, and you can install them. But there's a really good community around it, and there's a good system for the repository for the plugins. So you can see if it's a good plugin or not, and how many people have downloaded it, what votes it's getting, what versions it works on. And at the end of the day, you know that it's more secure than the other sites like the likes of WordPress.
Sure. Now, I worked with Umbraco a few years ago, and I found it to be XST hell, was the way that I used to refer to it, is that everything that you wanted to do, you had to set up an XML document with an XSLT sheet, and I just couldn't like it. Is it still the same, or has that changed?
Luckily, I didn't start using Umbraco until about 3 years ago. I think it was the beginning of 2014. And that was around when the version 7 came out. I think in version 6, they moved to MVC, I believe. So I've only ever known it to be .NET and MVC. I've never known it to be this hell that people speak of. So I've not had this this displeasure myself. So I've had the luxury of getting on board when it's quite mature. It's using .NET. I was able to get hold of it coming from a web forms.NET, VB.NET background. I was able to then get used to MVC, how that works. And I did some MVC side projects as well, but using this Umbraco every day for my day job, it helped me with just learning the MVC. And I've always preferred C# as a language. So to be able to work with C# and see all the examples in C#, rather than worrying about XML, it's definitely a bonus, and definitely not something we need to worry about these days with Umbraco.
Yeah, that sounds great, the fact that they've moved on from that, because I can remember sitting and trying to get drop downs to be sorted out with the right values in, and you'd update one list and it wouldn't update the right one. Oh, it was a nightmare. I didn't enjoy it one bit, and then ever since that, I sort of put it to one side and said, it's not for me, this, because I've always had issues with XSLT. I've never got on with it very well. One of my previous jobs, we had a system completely built in an XSLT, and I couldn't fathom how that worked. It had user member areas with logins and passwords, and you'd open the project and it was just a load of XML documents and XSLT sheets, and it was like magic to me. It's an area that I have no skill set.
No, I'd have been the
all.
same. If I'd have come into Umbraco and it was that sort of XSLT hell, then I don't think I would have enjoyed it either. I think that's one of the appeals for Umbraco for me, is it's just so enjoyable to develop with, and also as a user as well. So I'm in the same camp as you.
Yeah, now I use an open source CMS myself called Kubu for a lot of my projects, and what I liked about that is that was MVC Razor views, so maybe Umbraco is an option for me. And sort of speaking about Kubu, you've got a lot of other CMS systems out there like Sitefinity. We've already talked about WordPress, Orchard, and Kubu. What, at least for yourself, makes Umbraco stand out above those? I
think when we were reviewing all the other CMSs where I work at Media Maker, we were looking at the likes of Orchard CMS, WordPress, Kubu. For a start, we're a .NET shop, so we ruled out WordPress. And then you've got the other, the ones like Sitefinity. Is that a .NET one, Sitefinity? I know Orchard is.
I think it is, yeah. Orchard is the Microsoft
so Orchard,
one, isn't it?
That's supported by the .NET Foundation, isn't it? So that one's going to be around for a while and going to get support. So we know that. But with the Orchard one, it just didn't have the same features or really the same community. The main thing about Umbraco is the community. Like, you can, if you've got any questions at all, you can go onto the ourumbraco.org forum, and you can post your questions in there, and it's a real friendly community. People are always happy to help you out. You don't feel like you're asking stupid questions, because you can search for the stupid questions first anyway, but then you can ask it yourself. And it's just a really nice community, and you get your karma points and whatever for helping others. I've started to help others more now. Now I've been doing it for a while. So that's it as far as the community side of it. It's just that makes it stand out. And that was one of the reasons why we picked it over the others. And also the fact that it's always being worked on as well. It's not being left behind, or, it's not being where we've done the last changes and it's not been touched for 6 months. It's always being worked on. I know they're working on 7.6 at the moment. The current version we're on is 7.54. So yeah, it's not going stale, and
and definitely being able to work with the system in a nice way, and the fact you've got the community around there helps. Because the likes of Kubu, it doesn't get updated that often, and there's very little communication from the development team. So I think that they said at the end of last year there was a new version coming out, and it should be here at the start of 2016. Right. But it hasn't arrived. People are asking, where is it? And nobody's coming back to them. And they're asking, is this project dead? And you just get a reply of, no, it's not dead. The devs are working on it.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It's not a good sign.
No. So that, no, it doesn't help very well. Again, that's an open source project, so I could go in and pick it up and do something to it myself if I had the time or inclination to do it. Sitefinity for me, I looked at that a long time ago. I haven't done a lot with content management systems, but Sitefinity and Orchard, probably, they must be 6 or 7 years ago. I think Orchard came out, and that just didn't do anything for me. It looked very much like a CMS that was built by developers for developers without much thought into the UI. Now that may have changed now, and I think Sitefinity for me tried to be too much of a what you see is what you get. And back then it didn't quite cut the mustard, but I get told time and time again that it's up there. It's really good now, and it's quite powerful. But I seem to, for some reason, hold a grudge at times against some of these products and think, well, they didn't do what I wanted them to do back then, so I'm not going to bother with them. Maybe this is telling me something else, because I had the same opinion with Umbraco as well.
With Umbraco as well, one of the main things that I really like is the user experience as a developer and also as a user of the system. So the beauty of it is you can create these document types which have got these different fields on. So you can do these, you can get off the ground up and running really quickly with just, so I've got a home page, I want to have a content block here, I want to set some properties here. But just adding these things to this home document type is so easy. And that's easy for me as a developer. But then the people that use it to fill it in the admin side of it, they're finding it really easy as well. And I know when we first switched to Umbraco, our director, digital director, he wanted to enter some of the content for some of the sites because he enjoyed it so much. Because he was using it and showing people when he was doing his sales to get new clients and what have you. But he found that he really enjoyed using it. So, I mean, for that, compared to the other CMSs that we've used before, like the .NET Web Forms ones, I don't think he was rushing to enter content on any of those.
Yeah, definitely. The usability for the less technical users that are going to go and fill this content in is something that a lot of people do overlook. And I know with some of the systems that I've used in the past, it's not always the best experience for the content writers. Because I have a content writer that does some of my work for some of my clients, and what tends to happen there is that I'll get her to write the content and send it to me in a Word document, and then I'll input it into the system because it's just quicker for me to do it, being more technical. And it's not the best use of my time, but it's not the best use of her time to go and learn that.
Another good thing about it and what makes it stand out is that it's got this content grid editor. I think it came out around 7.2, and it works with Bootstrap out of the box. So, and some people don't like Bootstrap, I know, but as far as getting things out there and getting it quickly done, you could really easily have a website that is responsive. And you can put like different width columns, and you can make it flow nicely just using the standard grid editor that you get out of the box, and it generates the markup for you from the content that you've edited into the grid. And you can edit that as well. You don't have to use just Bootstrap markup. You can create your own markup so that you're getting the things from the different rows and the columns, and you're rendering it out by your own markup. That's usually what we do. We do bespoke applications rather than just a Bootstrap one. But for my website, I use Bootstrap, and I use the content grid for that, and it's just really easy. I don't have to worry about it. That's the other thing. It's a solved problem. It's content management system. We don't need to spend time building a content management system now. We want to enhance it and use it to integrate with other things.
I don't understand people's objection to Bootstrap, to be honest. I think if you just go out there and build a website and leave it with the default Bootstrap theme, yeah, I can see that being a bit of a problem because it's just a bit lazy. But as long as you style it up and you put your own colour and theme over it and change some stuff, it does the job, and it does the job well from my experience. The menu system needs a little bit of work, but apart from that, I haven't got any other.
I just think it's really good for responsiveness, and if you just use it for the grids, and then you just style it, custom styling yourself, it won't look like a Bootstrap application, but you've sorted out all your media queries and everything up front. Yeah,
and it does save you a lot of the pain and the heartache that you get with rolling your own, and I've done that before, and that wasn't the nicest experience.
I did want to mention as well the Umbraco forms. That's one of the features that stands out. So I was talking about the document types and how you can create these fields and all, rich text editors and what have you, just adding them to the document. And that's all well and good, and that's for the admin people to edit that in the back end. But what they've also come out with Umbraco is the Umbraco forms, which allows you to create these sort of forms with these fields and what have you, but for the front end as well. So and it's got reCAPTCHA on it and all sorts of things, and it can do workflows. It can send emails on the back of getting results on a form that was filled in by the end user. You can export the data. You can do all sorts, and so you're getting the benefit of the builder that you were using for your document types, but you're getting that for your front end forms as well. So it saves a lot of time as a developer.
All right. Yeah, so you get a bit like SurveyMonkey for free built in as well.
I think there is a fee. I think you pay like £100 or €100 for your first one, and then each one you add on, I think it works out about £40 for each. Yeah, per website. You get a license, and I think it's just a one-off fee per site.
Yeah, that's not too bad for what it's saving you probably in the long run.
Oh yeah, if you think of the time, if you work out the time that you charge out for your developers per hour to develop a form, and you think about all of that, it's just a lot quicker to develop, to pay the fee for the license to make your own forms as and when you want to.
Because it's probably going to take more than 2 hours for one of your guys to do a single form, let alone do multiples. And there is that benefit there. Cool. You mentioned earlier on that Umbraco is open source. Is there a price tag at all anywhere for it? I know we just spoke about the forms having a price tag. Are there any other sort of commercial parts of it that you have to pay for, or do you get everything for nothing?
Take my website as an example. I've just set up an Umbraco instance. I've not had to pay anything. I've put it out there on my own server. I'm hosting it. I'm just paying for my hosting with my hosting provider. I've not had to pay Umbraco for anything. All the websites that we do as an agency, we don't have to pay Umbraco for anything. It is completely free in a commercial sense, so personal and commercial. You can pay for support. So you can pay for, I think they're doing something now with the cloud. So you can host your Umbraco site in the cloud. So you can pay for that. I think they do it through Azure. But they also do extra support plans as well. I feel like I'm working for Umbraco at the minute, like I'm trying to sell it to. But so I know they do that, and I think it starts off, you can just have a single site, not a lot of support for like €25 a month, and then it goes up to like €400 and you get good support, and then even more, and then you've got an annual plan for like the enterprise level. So there is support there for you. They even do code reviews, I think, on the enterprise level as well.
That's a very good feature, that, especially if you've got a team that aren't used to developing with it, or are a very young development team that could come in.
If you're investing in Umbraco, you don't want to feel like you've been abandoned or you're stuck with this. Or if you've got the money to throw at it and you want the best support, then that support is there.
So it's a platform that's written on .NET. Does it only run on Windows, or is there a multi-platform version of it?
So at the minute, I think it just runs on Windows. I don't think you can use .NET Core or anything for it yet. I know Orchard CMS, they're working on one, aren't they? I don't know if you've heard about it on any of the other podcasts, but I think they just got one running, Orchard did, and that runs 10 times faster than the .NET full version. So I don't know if it's in the plans or not, but at the moment I believe it is just Windows that it runs on. But I've never seen that as a problem myself, because it's only the hosting environment. Anyone can use it on any other device or environment when they're using that site, can't they?
There's a few people out there that they're not .NET developers as such, or they want to get on the bandwagon with everything with the .NET Core coming out now, and that being multi-platform. I didn't know if Umbraco had any plans for moving over to that anytime soon, so that they could be in line with the Microsoft stance of any developer, any platform.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe someone could correct me in the comments, but I've not heard of anything so far.
Sure, that's a good time to plug that if anybody has any comments on this, that they can come and comment on the website. So if I want to install Umbraco myself, where can I get it?
I've done a video. If you go to codeshare.co.uk/install Umbraco, and it shows you how to install it, and it's really easy. I can summarize it now. The quickest way to do it is you just need Visual Studio. You can do it with 2015. You can get the Community Edition for free, so it works with any of the Visual Studio versions. So just download the Community Edition of that, and just start a new project. And you can choose a web project, 4.5.2, and then you just go to Package Manager, NuGet Package Manager, and just do install package Umbraco CMS, and that's it. And then it will install it all for you. You do a build, and you run the site, and then you just put in the username and password for your for the login for the backend, and it will just run through the installer, and you've got a website set up straight away. And if you don't change any of the options to customize it, you've got the starter kit Fano website already set up for you, so you can get up and running. And what I did when I first started with Umbraco, I was looking at, how does that work? So if I just change this and have a look on the front end, that's what I've changed there, and just like work backwards from their examples.
Nice. So that, from its NuGet package, installs all the admin area, all the editors, everything you need. It's not a case that it's just giving you some libraries.
No, it's the whole.
You've got to build everything on top of it.
It's really good. It's just so easy. You can have one up and running in like 5 or 10 minutes. As I say, if you have a look at my video, you'll be able to just follow along with that. On my video, it's slightly different because I'm focusing on how you can get it set up for a developer environment for SQL Server. Rather than it being a compact edition, I'm showing you how to do it with the proper SQL Server database. So I think Umbraco works with 2008 onwards. And I'm also showing you how you can set up the site to run locally on your IIS rather than using IIS Express that you get just from running the site, and just showing you a bit more detail on as a developer in a development environment. And it shows you how, if you can get it set up in IIS on your local machine, then that is the same thing when you're on the Windows server. You set it up in the same sort of way.
Yeah, it sounds like they've done a lot of work on it to make it a lot easier for people to integrate with. I've looked at a few other ones that are out there, and they do literally just give you some libraries and say, use these, and you'll be done. And I'm like, right, Okay, and you have to do a lot of work to get in.
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that.
Them.
It's a really, really easy, really pleasant experience just setting it up. I mean, that's not something you normally say about setting up something brand new.
No, and not something that's probably as complicated as Umbraco is as a content management system. It's content management. Does it give you any extras like e-commerce or anything like that, membership?
Yeah,
and,
so it's really good with the
like
user management. So you can manage the admin users that log in, and you can change all of their settings for their permissions of what areas of the site they can go to, what permissions they have based on their role or individual users. You can even set permissions on an individual page, what users can do this or roles can do this, that, and the other. So as far as the admin side of it, that's really good for the admin users. And then you've got the membership for the front-end users who log in as well. You can change, so you can create members, create member types and groups, and you can change the permissions within Umbraco. You can click on, say, if you've got, I don't know, a secure area of your site, you can just literally right-click on that parent page and do public access and just set the permissions of which roles are allowed to, or which roles or individual users are allowed to access this area of the site. And you can point it to the login page for when they're not logged in. It's just really, really easy to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it seems to have covered all bases as well for everything that you want to do. There's already something out there, and I guess if there's something that there isn't, that it's got a plugin framework that you mentioned earlier. So
yeah,
you can build a plugin
with regards
to do something.
You were mentioning the e-commerce, so there are lots of e-commerce packages that you can install, and that people have created. Some of them are free, some of them are paid for, but they are, they're worth paying for. So you've got lots of options with that if you don't want to build a full e-commerce site yourself. You can use one like uCommerce or T-commerce, I think there is. And I think uWebshop's one of the free ones. But I think that one's not as full-featured as far as a e-commerce solution goes. Speaking of packages, I've just yesterday, myself and my friend Luke Warren from South Africa, we've been collaborating, and we delivered our first package to Umbraco. So it's quite exciting, really. For the last 3 years, I've been a user of Umbraco and been downloading other people's packages, and we've actually found how it's not really that difficult to create your own package in Umbraco and submit it to the repository, and then be able to log in on a site and go to the developer section and install the package that we created.
Yeah, congratulations to you and Luke on that. That's pretty good. One thing that we do have a problem with these podcast recordings is time shifting. So yesterday, for listeners in the future, and when this comes out, was the 23rd of November 2016. But that's really good that you've been able to give back to the community and build your own piece of software. What exactly is it that your package does?
It enables you to do Google Analytics event tracking really easily. I did a blog post about it. Sorry, I always say that, but I did do a blog post about it, and because Luke was asking for some help with about event tracking. He saw what I did. He didn't quite like it because there was too much editing of the elements on the page. He wanted to do it where you could just manage it within a package. You don't have to edit anything other than within the admin side of Umbraco. So I put up a proof of concept, and he helped put it into a package, and he'd done a great job in putting it into this package that it's just a one-click install. I even today, when I was demonstrating it to my boss, I installed it on my live site. I was talk about dog fooding. I ran the install on my live site, and it all went well. Thank goodness.
That's fantastic. It's yeah, it is, and I think with all the communities that are out there now, seeing the collaboration between developers is really good. And we met through the Coding Block Slack channel. Now, some of these podcasts that are out there, they're all setting up their own Slack channel. I'm not going to do that. I've spoken to the guys at codingblocks.net, and I've said that I'm going to mention their Slack channel because I'm in there all the time. Paul's in there, and there's so many other helpful people that it just doesn't seem right for me to set up my own. So you should all head over there and get involved, and just seeing the community coming together and people like yourself, Paul, working with Luke is great, and it's given us all that opportunity that really we probably didn't have before, and it would have been very hard to find these guys to work with. So it's hats off to the guys for setting up that Slack channel and bringing in the caliber of people that it has done. It's been great. Yeah,
it's a great Slack channel and a great podcast, and like you say, it's just a special community you probably couldn't recreate. I don't think it's just like a one-off.
Yeah, it's a lot of them tend to be very elitist, but we don't tend to get that in this Slack channel. It's we've got people from all levels, from the juniors just starting out to people that have been doing it for sort of 20 years or more, and all coming together and asking questions, having discussions about it, and generally having a laugh and a giggle at the same time. So as long as you don't take yourself too seriously, then I think you'll be more than welcome over in there.
Definitely.
So back on topic of Umbraco, if I wanted to learn a little bit more about it and maybe start building some sites in it, do you know of any training courses or any good websites that would be useful that I can put in the show notes for the listeners to go and have a listen to and read about?
So I think it'd be worth if you put in the show notes the link I already mentioned about my demonstration, just for installing it yourself. Not wanting to plug too much about myself, but I am also going to be doing some live coding where I'm taking a Bootstrap template that I've found off the internet for free, and I'm going to be recording myself and putting it onto YouTube after as well. I've doing all the steps from getting this static site that works with Bootstrap and how I then put it into Umbraco, and all the steps that I take along the way of making it into a dynamic website. And it's actually going to be for my mother-in-law, who's an artist.
Wow. You are either insane, very, very good, or just very, very brave. Especially doing that live streaming. Even with the podcast, I don't live stream it. I edit it afterwards and get rid of as many ums and and breaks and pauses and messes up as I can. It blows my mind to think about sitting there doing something like that live. It's bad enough having somebody sitting over your shoulder and work watching your code.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. I just think it's the best motivator to get something finished, because I'm being watched. I can't just sit there and then get distracted and go off on the internet looking up, pictures of cats, they usually say, don't they? But
I wonder where you were going to go then with that P word.
Videos of cats and what have you. So, no, it's going to really motivate me to get this project done, but it will also be a good chance for other people who are new to Umbraco to see how you start with something that you can download for free. Someone's built the front end part of the site and the design, and this is how you then integrate it in with Umbraco. But as far as other places that you can learn, there is Umbraco TV. So Umbraco have got a whole collection of videos of how you can do things in Umbraco. People have recorded these videos, the proper produced ones by Umbraco, showing you how you can do certain things within Umbraco. And so I think that is a paid-for service. It's like a monthly service, a bit like Pluralsight. I've not actually looked on Pluralsight to see if there are any courses on there, but I'm sure there will be some by now.
Fantastic. Well, all the things that you've mentioned, I will stick in the show notes, so all listeners can go and have a look, and hopefully get a few more Twitter followers and a few more subscribers on your YouTube channels. And I'm going to have to keep an eye out for your live coding, so I can sit and watch, learn, and heckle a little bit from the sidelines.
Yeah, feel free to join the channel. I think you can subscribe to me if you go codeshare.co.uk/live coding. That'll take you off to the live coding website, and you'll be able to subscribe to me. And then if you enable push notifications on your browser, it will tell you when I'm online. So feel free to join in and try and put me off.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely give it a go. I think we're all out of time for today, but thanks for coming on. Thanks for explaining about Umbraco and telling me that it's not the devil that it once was. And hopefully this has been helpful to you guys out there listening. If you've got any questions or feedback, then let me know on the website. And until next time, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on your favourite podcast platform and help the Cynical Developer to grow by increasing its audience. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, then drop us an email, a tweet, or leave a comment on the website, where you can find all the resource links and show notes for each episode.